Hey, you're wide receiver Khalil Shakir, right?
I sure am, kid. Here, go long.
Whoa! You're pretty good at football, man.
And you guys are pretty good at pizza.
Oh, sick. Dude.
PICASSO'S is pretty good at pizza. Make sure you're insisting on PICASSO'S pizza for your pizza orders, whether it's on game day or any time of the week. Multiple locations around Western New York and available nationwide via Gold Belly. But today, the Bills are taking their act on the road. They're taking their act nationwide to Indianapolis. Indianapolis Colts, boys, 4 points favorites. Joe Flacco, the man, who was there when Josh Allen played his first NFL game. Feels a little bit crazy to be here 6.5 years later. But where are we at going into this matchup?
I had no idea. I wasn't even thinking about that, the connection to Flacco there. I'm nervous going into this game. Before the season, did my predictions for the Bills' full record, had them losing this game before week one even started. Felt like a moment where it could be a trap game. Even before the season started, you look at the way the schedule shaped up, smack dab in between a Miami and Chiefs home game. It's like, man, that Colts game. We all have memories of a couple years ago with Jonathan Taylor running all over the Bills in Buffalo. And so it felt scary going into it. It feels even scarier now that Joe Flacco has taken over for quarterback. I think if Anthony Richardson was in this game, I would have had a lot of faith in McDermott and Babbage to kind of put him in a blender. Not that I still believe in Richardson, still think he could be a good quarterback eventually. But with Joe Flacco in this game, the way he's kind of resurfaced here and kind of brought back his career after last year and is just a solid NFL quarterback again. Not trying to be – I feel like Joe Flacco's issue when he was with the Ravens, he was always trying to do too much. And now he kind of takes it as it comes. He knows his limitations and is just a smart veteran quarterback. That worries me for a day like today against the Bills when they're going to have the run game going, I think, no matter what.
Imagine telling a fan in May of 2023 of the NFL that in November of 2024, Geno Smith and Joe Flacco will still be very capable NFL starters. It's very mysterious, but Slick, what are the mysteries you're encountering as we get ready for this Indianapolis Colts game day?
I'm not too worried. I don't know why everyone's got a little bit of nerve to them. I do agree with Jake that it's a little scary that Joe Flacco's taken over instead of Anthony Richardson. That does worry me a little more just because we know what Joe Flacco is capable of. It seems like the past 2 years he just comes into a different team and balls out and ends up making a guy get benched. So I am a little worried, and the Jonathan Taylor game has nightmares in my head because that was a miserable day in Buffalo. It was raining, and it was just a miserable game to sit through. But not too worried about this one. I think the Bills will be able to contain Joe Flacco and what he's able to do. Defense has been playing well lately, and we can adjust at half if it's even looking a little stale. So I'm not worried. Not worried.
Micah, you're on that same front, not worried, because let's face it, we'll get right into it. This is the trappiest of trap games. You got Kansas City on deck next week in a home game revenge spot. Enough said. So you're on the road at the Colts tonight. I think there will be a lot of people who, looking at Joe Flacco and the Colts, I mean, their defense doesn't scary intimidate you or anything like that. Obviously, the Bills are down some receivers, and we've seen that when they've been down some receivers this season, things can get tricky. But so neither of you are really worried about this trap spot with McDermott. By the way, trap spot with a McDermott team in early November, which in 2023 was a problem, in 2022 was a problem, in 2021 was a problem.
This whole trap thing, I think, goes both ways. I am sick of hearing this all week because if anything, I feel like this is a trap to take the Colts to cover when the Bills are easily going to do this. I had to listen to Mike Bunt on the Pay the Bills podcast this week talk about how the Bills only squeaked it by 3 points against the Dolphins, and now they're only 4. That means something. Vegas is telling you something. It's going to be a close game. No, they're just accounting for all the people that think the Bills suck now because they only beat the Dolphins by 3, and they're giving you 4 cheeky points, begging you to take the Colts to cover. I got the Bills to cover easily. Come on now.
I did pick the Bills to cover, even with all the concerns I did have about this game. I said 27-17. I do think that this is a game where, and I don't know what we'll get to the prediction later. That was Tuesday prediction Sunday Jake's a little different, but we're at a 4-point spread right now. Yeah, it feels like they're and 69% of the bets according to covers on the Bills. So the public's with it too.
Oh, don't start me. Don't start me.
I'm not.
Don't start me on the percentages of 4% of someone's betting pool. Like I know people love this, and I know it makes people feel good. I'm not even gonna say. I'm gonna let you.
No, I'm not. The trap line, dude.
It's just the 4 is just it's the Vegas zone, right? According to Bill Simmons, like it's that 4 to 6 range where you like you realize they don't know what they're doing with this game, so they throw it out in there and hope that they can get. The Bills are better than this team. Like that, if you're looking at it just neutral field, nothing else, whatever, like Bills anxieties we have, the Bills are better than this team, should win this game. The only thing that really concerns me is if Jonathan Taylor has 150 yards today, then the Bills are kept off the field. That's where this game gets into a 3-point, 4-point area where we're getting down to it towards the end of the game. And the D-line is the biggest concern for me going into this game, specifically the interior with Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones. Clearly they're, signing all the old guys that they can bring back in to be stopgaps here. So they have a concern for it too. But so that's the only thing that really worries me. But if you look at everything else, the Bills are a better squad all around than this. Colts team.
The Bills need to simply take care of business today. I think that's fair to say above everything else. But again, will they? Obviously, we will see in Indy today. We'll talk about the keys for that and the wild cards in that in a second. But we were talking about the numbers adding up. Let's get an updated Josh Allen MVP watch. Let's get him in here. Can I get this? Can I get the window on one try? Yes, we can. Okay, perfect. So, Slick, talk me through it because you obviously have your preseason bet. But at the end of the day, a tough juncture there on Thursday night with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, definitely not great for the race on Thursday. You see Lamar sitting there at in the hundreds of plus money. He's got a game up on the other two right now, obviously, but I do love to see Patrick Mahomes that far behind Josh Allen, even with the success the Chiefs are having. So I think, Maniac, you and I talked about this. I think Josh Allen just needs to stay course right now. This is not going to be a week where you move the needle in the race.
Yep.
Next week is really going to be the difference maker. And, Lamar could pick up a loss. Anything could happen week to week. So I think Josh stays course, just balls out today, no interceptions, and he finds himself still neck and neck with Lamar. And then the real needle mover, per se, is next week when the Chiefs come to Buffalo.
I agree with all the points. I will say when I think of it, so I'm thinking about the over-under being 46.5. That's why I think it's going to be tough for him to move the needle. I will say if this game gets off the rails and, you get a 35-31 Bills win with like Josh Allen, 300 plus, 4 TDs, one of those more traditional like 2020 games. Now, those games are much more rare, obviously, in 2024. But those would go a long way with kind of boosting the overall stat line. That's the only way that Josh could really move the needle today. But I know we did talk about it. It's definitely a tread water game in this watch. By the way, shout out Sam Darnold being in the top 10 of MVP voting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Want to talk about quarterbacks they wrote off and they didn't write back. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco, all in the last like 2
How about the rookie, Jaden Daniels?
That's just insane.
He's balling,
that's just insane. Absolutely. And of course, we know what Goff's doing in Detroit. And of course, the always omnipresent Patrick Mahomes. It's very funny that, in the modern day, if you had told someone before the season the Chiefs will be undefeated, they would have put their bankroll on Patrick Mahomes MVP. And instead, he's third on the watch. So that's why you got to watch the games. That's why you got to roll along with us. Speaking of MVPs, make Picasso's Pizza your MVP on game day every single time. But yeah, Josh Allen, MVP watcher. Overall, Slick, you'll take the position. He just needs to tread water this week.
I'm not unhappy about where we're at. Just stay the course. Don't do anything crazy. But like you said, if we get one of those 2020 games today, I'm not complaining. But yeah, a lot of football to be played, and those MVP odds change like seasons. So
seriously, whispers in the wind. With that said, wild card for today. Oh, actually, you know what? Should we hop around and do playoff picture since we're talking MVP odds?
Let's do it.
I guess that makes a little more sense before we do a full dive into the game. Picasso's playoff picture, of course. So let's go over to our friends at Seneca Buffalo. Let's see. Let's pull this up. Even though no free ads, of course. So we got the updated. Really, the massive change. I mean, Bills are 100. A bet of $100 on the Bills to win the division gets you $1. So that's a great spot to be in, of course. Knock on wood, you still got to win. You still got to do your part, and you still want to stay healthy for sure.
Free
the massive shift here has been in the AFC Championship odds. Obviously the loss of Stephon Diggs affected the Texans. The Steelers were kind of a team that were expected to be way back. Now they've jumped forward. The Bengals have completely fallen off a cliff, even though, Burrow and co, Jamar Chase had the best game of any receiver this season on Thursday, and they've looked as potent as ever. But unfortunately, their record has just buried them so deep. They'd almost be guaranteed to have to run like a Bills, Ravens, Chiefs gauntlet to get there. That's why you got the long odds for them. But the Bills started the season around about 6 to 8 to 1, 9 to 1, depending on where you were. So some nice progress in this. And again, this week is probably the exact same as the MVP odds. It's not a needle mover week, but you kind of tread water going into next week, right?
Go ahead, Jake.
It just this next. I was gonna say with the MVP thing too. Like the next two games after this are really narrative drivers for the Bills, just because it's just the way the NFL media cycle works, and these betting cycles will work. You get obviously the Chiefs game going to be one of the most watched games of the season. They get that bye, and then Sunday Night Football. So two huge opportunities on national TV for Allen and this team. If they look impressive in those two games, those odds are gonna fly, especially if they beat the Chiefs. I mean, and the Chiefs also have a tricky game today. They're at home against Denver.
And don't get it twisted. The Chiefs have just as much a trap game today as the Bills.
Yes.
The Bills have beaten the Chiefs the last 3 seasons in the regular season. No team has had as much regular. And I know you'll say 13 seconds. You'll say Tyler Bass, right? I get it. No team. I mean, what's their record outside of those games? They probably have like a 900 win percentage. So this is a team that essentially doesn't lose, but every time they play the Bills in the regular season the last 3 years, they've lost. So this is circled just as much for them. And it's indicated by the line, Micah, with that, -7.5 against the Broncos?
Yeah, and it's a matchup where the Broncos last year beat the Chiefs. It was in Denver last year, but their last matchup, they finally got over that hump for the first win since 2015 was the time before that. So this is a tricky Broncos team. That defense is for real. And we know that Chiefs defense or Chiefs offense has struggled this year. So we could be looking at a situation where the Bills are rolling in next week at 8-2 and the Chiefs are 8-1, and it's a chance to take control of the AFC. I don't think that I think that there's a very good possibility today. And I mean, I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on the Chiefs losing this game, but I think it's a possibility there.
I will go note. I like the Broncos to cover today. The Chiefs have just been cutting it too close. I think if they do that against that Broncos defense, like you said, could be a problem. So I'll put my flag there on 7.5 for sure.
I love the Broncos to cover in that one. I feel like they always play the Chiefs pretty well, and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and but I mean the Bills plus 350 to take the AFC right now with the position Baltimore and KC are in. Like all things aside, you'll take that all day. It's like very similar to MVP, like we were saying. Chiefs they scrape one out today and then come into Buffalo next week. I'm feeling really good about where we're at. So you can just hope for the best and then control what you can on the field. And that's hopefully what the Bills will do today. Get her done. And who knows what'll happen with the Chiefs. But I do love the Broncos to cover in that position.
Yeah, we're all on the orange and blue for sure. Obviously, Bills have to take care of their business. You would hate to see the Bills not take care of their business and the Broncos somehow upset them. But obviously, Bills are focused on Indy, but also a little bit of a side eye over there in Kansas City, especially with a 1 p.m. start in Kansas City. That's a little odd, right?
What's going on?
They might be a little sleepy out the gate. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. But let's talk about what might be on the Bills' plate today. Wild card for today for the Colts, whether it's for the Bills. I think it goes without saying that, you're calling up Hamler and Shavers. A wild card is how much they're ultimately going to play. You have to think it's going to be an upward snap count for Mac Hollins, which is something that always gets Bills Mafia fans excited out there. But what are your guys' wild cards as you get ready for today?
Going with the defensive side of the football here, and it's got to be Ed Oliver. It's got to be the guy with all those injuries on the interior, the line next to him with Smoot out. Daquan Jones is just not. Daquan Jones might have fallen off the cliff. It is what it is. Like I said it on Tuesday too. Guys that once you get into your mid-30s, you never know when it's going to hit. And Oliver, as amazing as he is, the story of his career has been he needs to be next to a bigger guy who can kind of fill up that space so he can kind of work, get those one-on-ones. He needs to be a force today, regardless of who's next to him, because as I mentioned earlier, the way the Bills lose this game is Jonathan Taylor and the Colts offense hold on to the ball. They win the time of possession battle. They have a good rushing attack of over probably 120 yards. And really just slow this game down and take possessions away. If that Bills interior defensive line is able to clog that up and make plays easier for, the Bernards, the Williamses of the Taron Johnsons of the ilk and everything, the Bills will have success today. But it's all on Ed Oliver. He has to play like a superstar today.
Of the ilk, that's incredible. Give me some more incredible stuff, Slick.
I do agree with Jake. The D line is huge today, but I think the receiving core is going to be big with the pieces missing and guys need to step up. I do think Mac Hollins sees that extra snap count, like you were saying, as it might be a nightmare to Bills Mafia. But I do like Mac. I think he plays well, steps up when it counts. And I will say I'm going to go with Mac Hollins being the wild card. But is this the Curtis Samuel emergence game? Maybe.
Oh man.
Yeah, if not, I would say the sentiment seems to be for Curtis Samuel and even on a lesser extent for Dalton Kincaid. If not now, then potentially never, because it's like, where else are you going to go? Of course. I mean, I'm surprised you guys haven't talking about this X factor.
No, I did just want to talk about this because is it not crazy that the Bills just photoshopped like their jersey into his hands?
Bro, they didn't Photoshop. He had both for sure.
Yeah, I think just back-to-back picks.
Okay.
The package, bro, they definitely sent him a package with two jerseys.
Okay.
He's mewing way too hard. That was my
But believe me,
and
you know that I mean this when I say it. As a conspiracy theorist, I respect that you thought they photoshopped.
It's a slick conspiracy. Wait, what's the 51 all about?
I'm guessing he wore that like in high school or something, like Cody, because I know he played football at some point.
Okay, well, he's on our side, I guess. Like that's what's up.
Yeah, put Cody Rhodes on the D line. He could do it.
Yeah, put Cody Rhodes in the slot. Come on, we need receivers.
We need to run a full house backfield with Reggie Gilliam, Dawson Knox, and Cody Rhodes.
A Cody Cutter up the middle.
There you
now
go,
you're talking.
Cody Cutter.
Now you're talking.
All right. But so I think, for us today, I think you made an interesting point though, Mike, about Oliver and Daquan, because definitely a lot less quote unquote impact plays. But then I look at the peripherals, like, the run defense has been pretty good. They haven't gotten like gashed in any way. And that's kind of always kept the linebackers free and kept the DBs to kind of dictate what they want. They don't get beat deep. I know that Nico Collins beat them deep for a 60-yard touchdown, but that was basically one blemish on the entire season. Besides that, the Bills don't get beat deep. So it seems like in the system that maybe we've adjusted from Oliver and Jones being explosive guys who terrorize the backfield to kind of more sustaining that trench. Again, I'm not saying making excuses for him, because anyone would love an explosive play here or there, but I think that they're kind of fitting into the system, and that's not too different than from, say, a DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, and the only game they've really been gashed this year was against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, who have been gashing everybody in the NFL, right? So it's like there is encouraging signs. They're I think they're 12th in DVOA, but a lot of stock taken into that game against the Ravens too. If you take that out, they are a top 10 run defensive unit. It's just that's where I'm always going to put it is that battle in the trenches. I do think that the linebackers have been outstanding this year. Like if you would have told me we got the output that Dorian Williams has given us the beginning of the year, would have taken it every time. So I think that that's a big difference from years past, where they've got guys that are just playing upfield and getting it there. Not that Milano and Bernard haven't been able to do that, but it seems like those guys are really like, I don't see Dorian Williams miss tackles. It's crazy. I'm a big Dorian Williams fan. He's looked awesome this year. So I am encouraged, but it's just maybe it's just the trauma from 3 years ago. Maybe it's just that one performance from Jonathan Taylor on a day like today where we were watching and we're thinking, oh, the Bills are going to smack the Colts today at home. Great vibes. And then it just went so wrong. And we're just kind of in the same spot, except it's going to be in Indy. Although I did see a lot of Bills fans in Indy. No surprise there, but it's going to at least be 50-50, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I'm a big Dorian Williams fan as well. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think we're always waiting for a Dorian Williams breakout spot. No doubt about it. It's always been, an impact play here or there, but, one game across the board. Who knows? Maybe Buffalo Joe gets a spot today. But with that said, let's get into our PICASSO'S props, parlays, and predictions. Let me see here. Micah, kick us off here with your action.
Yes. So we were talking about the wide receivers earlier and our guy, Mac Hollins. He's going to get a touchdown today. This is just what he does. He scores touchdowns. And I think Khalil Shakir is going to have 10 catches for 90-something yards. I also think he gets in the end zone. I think the Bills are able to sustain drives and get into the red zone. Maybe not as many explosive players if Coleman and Cooper are out, but I still think they're able to move the ball down the field. I think these will be Allen's red zone targets as they try to take away Kincaid. So give me this plus 1407. It's a nice little juice. You put $10 and win 140. You take that. So I'm rolling with this today. I think Shakir dominates and Hollins gets his opportunities and makes most of it.
I might lock that in right now.
There we go.
Slick, you got anything specific you're targeting, bud?
Nothing too specific. I do like Ray Davis to find the end zone and give me all his receiving props as well. Rushing, receiving, combine them, whatever. I think if any running back's playing a factor today, it's going to be him because we've seen how dynamic he can be as part of this offense. But I am on all the same pages as Jake. I mean, Khalil is going to ball out today with the absence of Keon, and Mac is going to be beneficial as well. And I think Kincaid might have a comeback game as well. Who knows?
Okay, very interesting. I like that. I like the thought process.
And Bills to cover, obviously, too.
Okay, I like it. I'm going to go plus 750 here. We got the Bills. We got Josh Allen getting a rushing touchdown once he gets to that nitty-gritty. Might, we haven't seen a Josh Allen rushing touchdown in a minute, have we? One of those traditional run-ins. We got robbed of one last week.
Yeah,
so maybe he's back on the page this week. Definitely do. And then Khalil Shakir, there were multiple times where it looked like I feel weird using this word, but I think it's appropriate. Felt like he might slither into the end zone because he kind of, he kind of catches the ball and just kind of sneaks around everyone, with all due respect to it. Yeah, a very slick guy. But would not be surprised to see our guy Khalil Shakir find the end zone today. 750 on that parlay there. So I like that as well. Okay, well, let's go top to bottom here. Slick, Micah, myself. What do you got for a prediction today? Bills, Colts. Thank you, by the way, everybody on Facebook, X, YouTube. Chime in with your predictions. Slick, what do you got for today?
I'm going to go straight forward and say 31-10. Nothing too complicated about it. I think Bills can dominate this one. Like I said earlier, with the line being a trap to take the Colts, I don't think there's ever even a stress about the Bills covering in this game. I'm going to knock on this wood right now. I hope I don't have to bite my tongue, but I think we see a dominant game from Josh Allen in the air, and the Colts will struggle against the defense to find much to happen. Joe Flacco is going to be very limited in what he can do. 31-10. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills.
Give me the Bills.
Love that. So the Colts this year have only reached 30 points in one game. It was in Jacksonville against the Jags in a loss, 37-34. Every other time, their highest total has been 27 points, and then they've been under that. The Bills, 3 weeks in a row, reached 30 points. And have only scored less than 30 in 2 games back-to-back against the Jets and Texans, who are both in pretty damn good defenses and on the road. So this Bills offense has been high-flying all year, even with the change in personnel, even with injuries, everything else. The Colts have not been, even with Flacco, if he's not making mistakes or anything, it's not like they've been high-flying. And I don't think the Colts are able to contain the Bills today. I've got the Bills 31, Colts 23. And I think that's a late touchdown, even where it's like 31-16 and they score something late trying to get back into the game. I think the Bills handle this pretty easily and cruise into next week's matchup with an 8-2 record.
I think it's going to be a little bit more exciting than that. I would not be surprised if there's a very frustrating second quarter period or something like that. I don't expect them to be in the sludge. I just expect it, like Joe Flacco. If you remember when the Bills played the Colts in the wild card 4 years ago, Phillip Rivers was literally running the play clock down to like -3 seconds every play. I expect that to be happening as well. But yeah, I ultimately expect the Bills to win this game 26-17. I think they're going to win and take care of business. And then, yeah, it'll be on to, it's a little sloppy, but it'll be on to the equivalent of the Super Bowl for the Bills. So that's very exciting. Make sure that your Super Bowl of any time, whether it's getting together with family for the upcoming holidays, whether it's having parties as we get ready to wind down 2024, make sure you're insisting on PICASSO'S Pizza. Let's wind down on the Colts. Let's get a win. And most importantly, let's go
Bills.
What would you rather be than right here, right now?